The landing strip was gone. Not damaged, not cracked. Gone. Torrential monsoon rains had chewed it into jagged gullies and mud-slick trenches, swallowing whole sections of asphalt into a gaping wound in the earth. From the air, it looked less like a runway and more like the skeleton of a dead river. The SEAL team huddled behind a rusted fuel depot, their extraction plan washed away with the rain. Hostile forces had begun to close in, black dots moving steadily across the gray horizon. They were outnumbered, outgunned, out of time, and somewhere in the chaos, one voice cut through on the radio, calm, almost steady, a woman's voice. She told them to mark the strip with every scrap of light they had left. Not flare, there were no flares. Just chem lights, broken flashlights, even burning rags. The SEAL exchanged skeptical glances. No aircraft could land here. Not in this weather, not with the runway torn to pieces. But she didn't ask for their opinion. She simply told them to stand clear. The woman in question, Captain Elena Reyes, sat in the cockpit of a C-130 Hercules, a beast of an aircraft better suited for military bases than a shredded jungle strip. She had flown combat medevacs under tracer fire, cargo drops in high-altitude storms, but nothing like this. Her knuckles rested loosely on the yoke, her eyes scanning instruments and horizon in the same glance. She didn't speak much, but when she did, her words carried the weight of someone who had been exactly here before, on the edge between impossible and inevitable. Elena's calm didn't come from arrogance. It came from a history etched into her bones. Years ago, she had stood on another ruined airfield, this one in the mountains of Afghanistan. Her co-pilot had been shot in the neck during a takeoff run. She had flown them out alone, navigating through gunfire and turbulence with a single, unshakable thought: you don't leave anyone behind. That day had ended with her aircraft full of the living and the dead, the air heavy with the mingled scent of hydraulic fluid and blood. She'd never spoken about it, not once, but it had become the silent compass by which she flew every mission after. In the military, silence is often mistaken for softness. It wasn't unusual for her to be underestimated, dismissed by senior officers at briefings. Her words cut short in rooms full of louder men. She let them think what they wanted. She didn't need their belief, only their coordinates. But she had learned that the greatest insult wasn't being doubted. It was when lives were on the line, and the room still paused to question if she was capable. The SEAL didn't know her, not personally. To them, she was just a voice on a scratchy radio channel, speaking with the precision of someone reading a grocery list while balancing on the edge of a cliff. Their commander, a grizzled man with years in country, had muttered something about her being crazy for even suggesting a landing. But what choice did they have? The jungle behind them was crawling with movement, unfriendly movement, and the river ahead was in full flood. Staying put meant capture or worse. In the village beyond the hills, locals had already started whispering that the Americans were trapped. Fires burned on rooftops, their orange glow licking at the mist-heavy air. Somewhere the enemy watched, waiting for the rain to clear just enough for a clean shot. The C-130 was still miles out, its navigation lights barely visible against the bruised sky. Inside the cockpit, Elena adjusted her altitude, the muscles in her forearms tightening. She could smell the metallic tang of rainwater seeping through old seals in the fuselage. She could feel the vibration of the engines through her boots. A steady heartbeat she had long ago learned to trust more than anything human. The approach was suicidal on paper. The washed-out strip was too short, too narrow, too soft. But she had seen worse and lived. The key wasn't the runway. It was the landing. As she descended, she could see the faint flickers of light the SEAL had arranged, uneven dots swallowed by the rain. Her brain calculated angles, braking power, prop reversal time, every variable screaming that this was a one-shot attempt. No go-arounds, no second passes. Either she landed here, or she didn't land at all. On the ground, one of the younger SEAL muttered that no one could make it. The team leader didn't answer. They all kept their eyes on the horizon, watching the growing shape of the aircraft through the sheets of rain. The first hints of rotor wash bent the wet grass. sending ripples through puddles that reflected nothing but gray sky. The Hercules came in low, far lower than safety protocols would allow. Its landing lights painted the mangled strip in harsh white, catching the glisten of mud and jagged debris. Elena kept her breathing slow, her mind narrowing to the exact point where wheel and ground would meet. She had no room for doubt. Doubt was for after. The touchdown was brutal. Tires slammed against the mud-slick earth. The aircraft lurching violently as it skidded, hydroplaned, and caught traction again. Every muscle in her arms locked as she fought to keep the nose straight. The smell of scorched rubber cut through the rain-heavy air. The Hercules slowed, inch by inch, until it came to a trembling stop less than 30 feet from a jagged tear in the earth where the runway simply ended. The SEAL didn't cheer. They moved, fast, lugging their wounded, their gear, and their exhaustion up the lowered ramp. No one spoke to her at first. The commander gave her a single look, one of those silent acknowledgments soldiers give when words are too small for the moment. She nodded once, eyes already scanning for the takeoff path. Takeoff was worse. She would be lifting a fully loaded aircraft from a strip that barely tolerated her landing weight. The rain hadn't let up. The mud would cling, drag, fight her every inch, and yet the same quiet certainty lived in her. This would work because it had to. Because she had told them she would get them out. Because failure was not an option she recognized. When the Hercules finally rose into the sky, heavy and defiant, the jungle below seemed to fall away in stunned silence. No one on board spoke until they were well beyond the danger zone. Then, a young SEAL, his arm wrapped in a bloodied bandage, broke the quiet with a single sentence that carried no disbelief, only awe. She didn't answer him. She just kept flying. Later, back at base, some of the same officers who had doubted her ability offered backhanded compliments, framing her landing as reckless but lucky. She didn't correct them. She knew the truth. They all owed their lives to what they had called impossible. She didn't need them to say it. She had seen it in their eyes when the ramp had closed. Elena Reyes lived by one unspoken creed. The loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. And in that silence, she had landed not just a plane, but the weight of her own quiet, unshakable honor. Because in the end, some victories don't roar. They land in the rain, on a strip everyone swore was too broken to save them. And they leave without waiting for applause.